Hello.
Hi.
We're back for another one of these. We may be a bit giggly during this one because
A little bit giggly.
well, you'll see there'll be a link to some bloopers in the description. We had a moment.
Yes,
We had a bit of a moment.
A few moments.
We are here today to talk about books. I've got my good friend James,
Hey up.
who you might remember from the last 2 videos.
Yes.
You know, a running character. We can both read.
Last time we checked. Yeah.
As far as I'm aware,
Yeah.
we can both read, which is, you know, a skill. And we both read a lot.
Yeah.
I mean,
You demolish books.
I do. I devour books.
You do. You really do.
One of the books I'm going to talk about today, I got through in 9 days.
Yeah, you really did. You really did. You really did. So, anywho, we're going to talk about books.
So we've each got with us 3 books that we have thoughts and feelings about. Do you want to start with a book?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure. So first book I'm going to start off with is this beautiful Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. Genuinely one of the best books I think I've ever read.
It's beautiful.
It's beautifully well done. The writing style that she uses is rather interesting because it's all recount third person.
Yeah.
Mostly.
And pacing's very Victorian as well because it is
very slow pacing, but it's
1850s.
It's 1850.
1854, I'm going to guess.
First published 1818.
Damn it, I was thinking
You were
Moby
quite
Dick.
far off.
I was.
You're quite far off. No, but it's genuinely one of the most beautiful stories I think I've ever read, and it does open up a lot of questions about man trying to play God. I genuinely think, and also I think that can relate very heavily to how modern genetics and genetic engineering is progressing now.
Yeah.
I think it's very relevant in that respect, and also because did Frankenstein, it's always got a place
James
in my
played the creature.
I did. I didn't give him that voice.
that voice would have been crossing some boundaries. I think.
So yeah, no, it's just beautiful. I've said that a lot.
Yeah.
But you can, when reading it,
It's really powerful.
You can see every location when it's written.
But it's not over the top with its description.
No,
like a
not
lot of
at all.
Victorian books, one of the ones I'm going to get onto, goes on.
On and on and on.
It goes on a bit.
Yeah, it does. But it sets out sort of rather perfectly the scene, and then you can, with me anyway, because I heavily visualise with what I'm reading, and if the text doesn't provide me enough to visualise, I sometimes get very bored with it. This one, there was never a dull moment.
Yeah.
And like there's just a monologue. And
Yeah, the speech in it is beautiful.
Beautiful, absolutely beautiful. I'm always a big advocate of that. The creature, he's a byproduct of what his previous circumstance.
Frankenstein's the monster.
In realistic terms, yes, because Frankenstein did everything wrong. He did everything wrong.
Well, what would you rate it out of 10?
I'm going to give it a very strong 9.5.
9.5.
9.5.
Completely agree. I think.
So I don't think.
Spectacular.
I don't think there's a perfect book. Certainly not one that I've ever read, so I can't give it a 10.
My first one, we go for another book that I rate kind of similarly, which is this little edition of King Solomon's Mines, which I think is from a similar era. 1885, so not even a little bit.
So that's
about
what you were
70
saying.
years off.
Give and take. Swings and roundabouts.
And yeah, this is one of the Alan Quatermain books.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
It's very short. Let's see how many chapters it is. I think it's only about 9 or 10 chapters long. It's
actually just seeing that chapter.
it's 20 chapters. So, but it's I've gotten every detail wrong so far. But it doesn't even reach 300 pages. It is a little book. But every time I come back to it, I'm really captured.
Yeah.
By the worlds that H.R. Rider Haggard made. A couple of things about it though. It does dabble in racism.
Well, yes.
It's an issue.
Yes.
But it
the
is a
cover
Victorian
itself.
book. Yeah, the cover
itself is
not a flattering portrayal
It's a questionable
of this
cover.
chief.
Very questionable.
But it is a beautiful book. The characters are very human. I know they're people. Like, I can see why Quatermain is this kind of archetype, this icon in classic British literature. Of course, we probably first encountered him through the god-awful League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. I definitely recommend this, because it is like, it's an adventure, which is quite nice. It's got a definite beginning, middle, end.
Yeah.
Some of it is brutal.
Really?
Oh,
I've not read this.
It's brutal. Like,
Yeah.
at points, there are wars, and yeah, I think it's honestly one of my favourite stories ever told.
So if you're going to give it a rating,
Well, I would rank it not as highly as Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, because it's not revolutionised text. So I'm going to give it probably about a 7.
7?
If it wasn't racist, it'd be about an 8. But because it does have some moments where it makes some interesting points about race, mainly the value of people with darker skin that are a bit uncomfortable.
It's a product of its time. I think that's one thing to remember.
Yeah, there are some,
fully.
with reading some of the older literature, like we both have, it's important to remember that was standard for the time. But yeah, King Solomon's Mines. It's a solid read if you can look past.
It's a Solomon read. My next book is.
You've been reading this for decades.
I've been reading this for this is on my second read through. This is The Way of Kings. From the Stormlight Archive, Part 1, by Brandon Sanderson.
Is this the most modern book in this list?
Yes, it is. It genuinely, yes, it is actually. It's
2000, isn't it?
I think
or like 90s maybe.
Oh no! It's 2010.
God.
Yeah. So this is one of I first actually found out about this series through one of Skalgrim's videos. But I genuinely found out through that, and then I thought this sounds rather interesting. I need to read. So it's a fantasy novel. It's about 1,000.
It's huge.
1,124 pages.
Hefty.
And also recently he's had another one come out.
My God.
Yeah, they are big books. The reason why I like this book, it's got a place in my heart. It's a long read. It's a long read for me anyway.
It's a real commitment.
It's a real commitment. I was reading this second read through the last time. I started that same time. Yeah, same time.
You started this
same time when we were at Edinburgh.
Yeah.
And I'm still here. That's because I'm god awful with my reading
Well,
schedules.
you are busy.
Yeah. But the reason why I like it, he builds a refreshing world for the fantasy genre.
You've said that it's quite a different take to a lot of the other fantasy worlds.
Oh, it is. He covers issues of race in that respect. The way he builds up each sort of like distinct kingdom with different races, not in the Tolkien sort of style of fantasy races. These are just humans, but one of the biggest divides is not even skin tone; it's eye colour. That fully divides whether you're higher or lower, and then it just goes into all of that, and also the environment's totally different from most fantasy. It's all barren rockland, in like a medieval sort of fantasy setting. And one thing that I really enjoy about this is Brandon Sanderson. He has a rule on how to use magic when you're writing fantasy novels, which I think there should be a link to that about his rule on magic. Yeah, so he makes a very strong detailed magic system that's refreshing, and it's not a case of, oh, you can use this stick and huzzah, a rabbit. There's a lot of detail in how much you use, what the effects it has on the user, and also the characters you can sympathise with. Character of Kaladin, he's terribly tortured. I genuinely love him, but there's plenty of characters in there. There's also interlude characters. The amount of detail he goes into building the actual world, sometimes you may even go, that's a bit loathsome.
Yeah.
But it's as if he's not missing anything, even the wildlife, the weather conditions. To give you a quote on that, the weather conditions in this world, pretty much every other week there's an apocalyptic hurricane in this world.
So a bit like Guernsey.
Yeah, a bit like Guernsey. a bit like the North.
So what would you rank it out of 10? Because you gave Frankenstein a 9.5.
Yeah. I'm going to give it a very solid 7.5. I really need to read the rest in the series, but my reading list is god awful.
Well, it is.
There's a terrible backlog. But yeah, Way of Kings. Stormlight Archive. Highly recommend that series, actually.
Excellent. My second book choice. James knows what's coming.
Oh my lord, hello.
So we've established that I'm a fast reader.
Yes, you are.
I'm a really fast reader. If I really push myself, I can do a 300-page book in a day, easy.
I've seen you. I've witnessed you do that.
Because
I've witnessed them.
when
do
things
that.
grip me, I just do it. Like it's. I don't think it's hard to read quick.
But this
this book took me 3 months. I'm of course talking about Herman Melville's Moby Dick. My God!
You've got some things.
I've got some things to say about Moby Dick. People love this book, and I might even make another video about why I don't like Moby Dick. So this will be a brief summary as to why. There are about 12 good chapters in the book. There are 12 really good chapters. They are great.
Out of how many chapters?
So, there's 135 chapters. You only really meet the white whale in chapter 133. They set off to find the white whale in, I assume, chapter 21 or so?
What's it called? Is it Hunt for the
Going
White Whale?
abroad.
Oh, right.
Going aboard. So, there is this school of thought that Moby Dick was Herman Melville trying to basically make an encyclopedia of everything that he knew. He seems to only know stuff about whales, for starters, which doesn't really make me seem to think he's a very broad reader. I think, though, this might be the oldest book in this list. It might not be.
It is dated
1851.
No. So Shelley's still winning.
This comes
She's
after
still kicking.
Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, which is a beautiful text. It's succinct and eloquent. This is a rambling mess.
So our videos,
Like,
these
this
videos.
is... There's one chapter that is randomly in the format of a play. I'll see if I can find it.
A play.
Sorry about that random cut. There, my camera decided it didn't have memory anymore.
When you say little play, we talking
I
the
mean a
mouse.
chapter.
We're talking the mousetrap.
I think it's 36.
36.
So 174.
I don't see anything that looks like a play.
Here it is!
Oh, okay.
Let me just see if 36 is also a play, because if so, there's 2 chapters there.
So this man has wrote everything he knows about whales, and then a play.
No, still in the plot of the book, though. That's the issue. One chapter within the plot of the book is in the format of a play, for no reason.
So, wait a minute. So
And I've read some weird books in the past. Like, Mulligan Stew has the characters in the book talking as if they're actors doing a play. And this is still weirder. It doesn't help that it's written in Victorian American English. So,
that sounds like a minefield.
But chapter titles. So the chapters that are good, you've got Loomings is the opening chapter. Like, the first few chapters are really good. Like, you've got a bosom friend, which is when he meets Queequeg. And then there's one where they meet a giant octopus, and it's really cool. And all sorts of stuff like that.
That sounds pretty cool. Wait, do they fight the octopus?
Yeah, they fight a giant octopus, if I remember rightly. It's been ages since I've read this. I can't bring myself to do it again.
Yeah.
But the other chapters, monstrous pictures of whales, less erroneous pictures of whales, the whiteness of the whale, the chart, the affidavit of whales in paint, in teeth, etc. The whale is a dish, Stubbs' supper, the sphinx, the sperm whale's head, the right whale's head, the battering ram, the great Heidelberg tun, cisterns and buckets, the honour and glory of whaling, schools and schoolmasters, fast fish and loose fish, measurements of the whale's skeleton, the fossil whale, does the whale diminish, Ahab's leg.
Ahab's leg.
We get 106 chapters in, 505 pages. We go through the whale as a dish before we talk about why the devil Captain Ahab has an ivory peg leg. And maybe my beef with this book is just that I'm used to a faster pace of writing.
However,
And like maybe when this was first released, it would have been released sequentially as little issues, and you're reading one chapter a week. And you're
perhaps
like,
like a comic.
and
as
to
you
read
were.
it unrelentingly. But as it is now,
It seems rather convoluted.
I
and long.
rank this as like maybe a 2 out of 10.
Ooh, maybe the Moby Dick.
It's
Fandom-
a 2 out of 10.
The Moby Dick fandom might say something else.
The English literature students amongst you, if there are any amongst you,
Are they?
traitors, will you can fight me all you want and argue. Feel free to argue in the comments below about whether or not I'm wrong to rank Moby Dick as a 2 out of 10. The only reason it's not a 0 out of 10 is because I've tried to read one of the Twilight books once.
Oh, fuck.
They are boring. At least this gripped me occasionally.
Occasionally.
It became like a bit of a fight.
You
Like
would
me
come into,
wrestling. I was fuming.
You would
reading
come
this
in. You
book.
would come into college and just complain, and then
I'd
read
complain.
it.
I'd
You'd
be
read
like-
it and then complain again.
Oh, you won't believe what he's writing about now, guys. The Right Whale's Head, A Contrasted View. Chapter 75, page 364.
Okay.
Crossing the deck, let us now have a good long look at the right whale's head. As in general shape, the noble sperm whale's head may be compared to a Roman war chariot, especially in the front where it is so broadly rounded. So, at a broad view, the right whale's head bears a rather inelegant resemblance to a gigantic galliot-toed shoe. 200 years ago, an old Dutch voyager likened it to the shape of that of a shoemaker's last, and in this same and last of or shoe, that old woman of the nursery tale with that swarming brood might very comfortably be lodged, she and all her progeny. That is one paragraph,
I'm not a fan.
about 3 sentences.
I'm not a fan.
So yeah, overall, Moby Dick, you can try and read it,
I'll try.
but don't. Watch the film. Apparently the film's really good. Because it will just have those good 12 chapters. But yeah, that is book number 2. Moby Dick, a solid 2 out of 10.
Head like a Roman chariot.
Yep.
Head like a Roman chariot. Has the man seen a Roman chariot?
So your third book,
The third
Mr.
one.
Spedding.
It's a Necronomicon. Just because it's bloody fantastic. Necronomicon, the best weird tales.
Pronounce it weird.
Necronomicon.
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 So,
Okay,
Necronomicon.
the best weird tales of H.P. Lovecraft. It's one of the only books that I've ever read that has made me stay awake at night and genuinely scared me. Most specifically, the one story, the music of Erich Zahn, genuinely screwed me up.
There's a reason that man had a 1,000-yard stare.
It genuinely terrified me, and I'm scared easily. I'm not going to lie, I am scared easily. But I've never been scared of a book.
Yes.
I've never read something that has made me terrified.
You can close a book.
No, theatre's done that to me. Films do that to me. A book. No, the first time I did that, I had cold sweats all over me and everything when I was trying to sleep.
God.
It was.
I didn't realise he got you that bad.
It hit me. It hit me. I could see it. One of the reasons why I do like this book so much is, even though a lot of the stories have a similar premise, underground cults, reptilians, elder gods.
Lovecraft does have a formula.
He does have a formula.
It's a good formula.
It's broke, don't fix it. And because of that,
If it ain't broke, don't fix it. If it's broke, fix it. If it's broken, James.
I am broke.
A little,
I am broke.
repair.
I am broken. Help me. So yeah, even though there's a formula to it, and it can be to some degree predictable, there's still some stuff that I read there that I don't expect to come through. And even like, for example, the opening, poem. Yeah, the first one, Night Gaunts. That got me quite a bit, and that was when I first picked this book up and I read that. That was the main thing that made me buy it. I was like, ooh, okay.
And it's nice to have a book that you can dip in and out of.
Yeah, I don't
Normally I can't do that with books.
Yeah, I don't feel... Because I'm a terrible person at reading. Sometimes I'll keep 4 books on the go and I hate myself for it. I hate myself for it because I get too wound up in it. But this one, you don't feel guilty for... I feel guilty for doing that, but I don't feel guilty. Like, okay, yeah, pop it down because they're just shortish stories. But they are well detailed. I would say they're very well detailed.
He
and the vague
had a real gift.
And when there is vagueness, it adds that eeriness of not knowing, which is pretty much Lovecraft's spiel, isn't it?
What would you rate it out of 10? So you've given...
let's see. I would give
Frankenstein 9.5. You've given 7.5 to...
I would give 9 Universal Horrors out of 10.
9 out of 10.
9 Universal Horrors.
Well,
there's a lot of Universal Horrors. Yeah.
And he is massively influential. I mean, without Lovecraft, there'd be no modern horror.
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much, you can see it mostly. Every time I see a tentacle in something, I always think,
oh yeah, Thula, that's you?
What? Elder Gods.
Well, the whole cosmic horror thing was invented by him as well. Like, without him, there'd be no Alien films. So my final book is on a similar kind of weight. This is the book that I got through in 9 days.
Yeah.
Well, I say book, it's 5 books.
In one.
In one. This is the complete Douglas Adams' Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. And it was one of those that really took me off guard. I'd never read any... I wouldn't call it hard science fiction, but it is definitely solid science fiction.
It's solid. It's very solid.
I mean, there's someone whose name in this book is a mathematical pun. I can't remember the full name, but like it's...
I didn't pass maths.
Yeah,
for
it's...
3 years, so I wouldn't be able to get it.
There are some jokes in here that you need to have like a basic grasp of physics for and stuff like that. And yeah, it really got me. I was hooked. I was impassioned.
He was laughing every time we were driving into the city centre.
Well,
You were giggling. You were showing me extracts.
This was the book that I bought to take to Edinburgh Fringe with me when we were performing there last year. Because I knew that in our downtime I'd want something to occupy us. We were staying in a tent in a field, just not in like a squatting way. I mean, there's nothing wrong with living as a squatter, but we were...
Well, it's good for the glutes.
We were staying at this arranged campsite just because it's cheaper than a hotel for a month in Edinburgh in the height of August.
It was very cheap because there was aeroplanes going over near Edinburgh Airport.
I got more joy out of this book than I think I've gotten out of any other books.
Would you say so?
I would say so. I mean, I knew that I was a fan of this style of humour because it's a very English humour. It's very
you.
very Python. I'd also seen the film of it as a kid. I know the film's not great, but it's got a general nod in the tone of the book.
I've still not seen the film, to be honest. I've seen bits and bats, but other than that, never.
It's not perfect in any capacity, but it is, pretty alright.
Yeah.
They cast Martin Freeman perfectly.
Oh, that's alright then,
They
isn't
cast-
it? That's okay.
Arthur Dent.
Arthur Dent.
They cast him perfectly, and they cast Ford Prefect.
I'm a prefect!
No, he named himself after a car. I think they cast him really well as well, even though in the book he's not black, but that's not an issue because if you get a good enough actor,
Doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's like
Does it not?
it's not part of it. I mean, I'd never cast like Idris Elba to play Hitler
Oh, right.
because that'd be inappropriate.
That would be a...
But back to Hitchhikers, I would put this at a 9.
A 9?
Like a 9,
Solid
9.5.
9.5?
I can't pick a hole in it as a book, or as a collection of books. It ticked every box that I wanted from a book. It had characters I cared about, a plot that made me think. It was witty, unpredictable, and generally a bit life-affirming.
Yeah. Oh, I need to give it a read now.
Oh yeah, definitely. I'd recommend.
I really do.
Keep you occupied on the tube. The chapters aren't too long as well, which means that you can read like 3 or 4 chapters in a sitting.
Oh, that's sound.
In the
That's
space,
smashing,
for me, in about 45 minutes. Yeah, they've created such a universe, and I love the jokes about bureaucracy and have you filled out a form? I love the have you filled out a form jokes. But overall, it's a really good book.
I shall definitely get it on my shelf.
Yeah, it's really
Definitely.
good. This edition is really nice. It's got an
Well, you're-
instruction by
you're-
Richard Dawkins.
You're a sucker for cloth bound, aren't you?
Yeah, I really like a nice cloth-bound book. I don't like leather-bound that much.
Don't think I've got... No, I do.
Our Necronomicon editions are leather-bound.
And John Carter of Mars.
Yeah, I just think cloth-bound looks nicer. And like
Although it does wear a bit.
It does wear. It's got like this really nice red interior. The font is a nice size as well. It's laid out
I swear
good.
I just saw New Zealand in
Probably.
the text.
New
Zealand, right?
But yeah, those are books we've been enjoying.
Yeah.
Or despising slowly beneath the surface until we can't cope anymore.
Yes.
And I guess we'll see you next time.
See you next time.
Well, next week. That's still bloody hot.
There's no milk in it. That's why.